As this story concerning the 23 Chinese swimmers who tested positive ahead of the Tokyo Olympic Games continues to mushroom, earlier today I spoke to the head of medicine and science at WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, where he absolutely refutes that there's been any kind of a cover-up, and the fact that WADA did go out of their way to do as much as possible to ascertain whether, in fact, these doping tests were the result of an innocent contamination, which is what they eventually found, allowing the athletes to go ahead and compete in Tokyo. Some of those athletes will also be lining up in less than 100 days now to compete in Paris. But all of this started because of the imminent release of a documentary by a German documentary maker named Hajo Seppelt, who's been working on a documentary for 2 years about this specific incident with the positive tests of 23 Chinese swimmers. He believes WADA could have and should have done more once COVID was over and the borders were open, and they were then able to send their investigators inside China to do a more thorough review of the actual incident pre-Tokyo. I spoke with Hajo a little bit earlier. His documentary is screening on German television at the moment, and he's also working furiously to get an English translation. And as soon as that is available, I'll make sure that I share that link. But right now, so you can hear what the documentary maker has to say, here's Hajo Seppelt. Hajo, thank you for joining me. Your program now, your documentary, it's taken 2 years to complete. It is now live. What sort of reaction do you expect from this? Is there new information that will perhaps force WADA to reopen an investigation?
From our point of view, the real problem is, and this question has not been answered from our point of view in a convincing way, why the World Anti-Doping Agency, which has a mandate since the Russian doping scandal to investigate on the soil of a country where something maybe mysterious is going on, why didn't they use this opportunity? And the first answer from WADA was not that due to COVID, there was no possibility, there was no way to go to China. They only said that they have been confident and happy with the outcome of the Chinese report. This is one question. And maybe this report is scientifically okay, that people can say this might have happened in this way, but who tells you that this ever happened? Who tells you that this is based on real facts? Who has asked the question if that incident in the Chinese hotel kitchen really happened? Nobody knows. Nobody. And nobody asks the question how realistic the scenario is that a pill or parts of a pill, even particles of a pill, are landing in a pot, in a cooking pot, somewhere in the kitchen, then goes on the plate, and then from the plate into the stomachs of athletes. That is a very interesting question. And we don't talk about nutrition. We talk about a heart medication. We talk about something which you can only get by prescription. Nobody is mentioning in the report, in the Chinese report, who is the source of that medication. Who is a cook or someone else in the staff in the kitchen who did that? Nothing is mentioned there. And the most, for us, worrying detail is that the whole report is written with support of the Chinese Ministry of Public Security. This is a part of the state security, at least a part. They have also the possibilities. They are a part of the national police, and they belong to the, let's say, to the suppression part of the Chinese government. They control the people everywhere. Everybody knows that in China. And this is more or less a secret police thing. And nobody in WADA obviously thought about that this might be a charade, that everything is faked, is made up. Nobody asked this question. They just referred on the scientific values of a report without seeing the whole picture, the whole scenario, how realistic it is that this can happen in a kitchen with a heart medication, and with no person mentioned who is responsible for this. And for me, the most crucial question is that WADA didn't use the opportunity within 3 years, from 21 to 24, to investigate itself in China. Why not? This question has to be answered. And if they say, oh, we couldn't do that because of Corona and COVID, why didn't they do it afterwards? They had a lot of time to do it. Nothing happened. And to be honest, to believe, when we know what is happening and has happened in China with respect to state-run doping, and doping in the past, if you talk about weightlifting, athletics, swimming, there are enough reasons not to believe the claims of authorities in an autocratic country, and that exactly hasn't happened.
So, Hajo,
At least according to my information we have, but WADA didn't give that information, neither in 2021 nor now.
So are you saying, from the people you've spoken to and what we can learn from your documentary, is that you believe state-sanctioned doping is occurring in China?
No, that's what I don't say. I say there have been positive tests. I don't say that the athletes have doped. I only say that WADA trusted in a report, which is from our point of at least partially not very credible. And again, I don't talk about the scientific stuff, which they only refer to. I talk about the big picture. They have to answer other questions. They have to refer from our point of view to other incidents, to other circumstances. And that's what they, at least what I know now, didn't, obviously. At least they didn't mention it in their answers, in their public comments. So only referring to scientific thing is one thing, but to refer on the real scenario in a kitchen, in a hotel kitchen. And again, if you read the Chinese report carefully, and we did that, it's so obvious that they, from our point of view, appear to distract from facts. For example, they claim that there have been comprehensive testing, but they don't distinguish between urine testing and blood testing. But officially, and this is the only allowed method, is to detect trimetazidine is in urine samples. So if you see that it's correct that have been a lot of testing, or relatively a lot of testing in the months before the competition, but if you just focus it on the let's say a few couple of days before the competition, according to our information, there was much less testing in urine samples. So it's obviously also possible from our point of view that there has been doping before the competition, let's say a couple of days before, or let's say 2 or 3 weeks before. And this finally was a reason for that they detected only low concentrations. And if they say that there have been some positive, some negative tests, it was first negatives and positives and negative, or vice versa, correct. But everybody in the scientific world knows that if you talk about limited low concentrations, it can happen that you have a positive or negative test because you have to drunken more, you have more salt or more water in your body in the morning, but not in the afternoon. So this needs to be considered. We, at least scientists we talked to, told us exactly that. So we don't say they have doped. We only say that this needs to be investigated, and this didn't happen, neither by the Chinese, or maybe yes, but they alleged to have done something which in fact didn't take place, what we don't know, nor by WADA. And that's exactly what we have put in. That's exactly what we have put in the focus of our reporting.
And so what do you think will be the impact of your documentary? Where do you hope it will lead?
We are journalists. We are not people who hope that something changes. We just focus on what we know and what we see, and where we have to ask questions. It's not our task to be an activist. Our only task is to do journalism, to do reporting, and to point our fingers to things which might be not the truth. And if we have evidence for this, at least we have very, very substantial hints, and we talk to whistleblowers. It's not only that we talk to somebody. Yeah. And there has been information from China. And the question has to be raised why, for example, the Chinese the Chinese anti-doping agency didn't do any provisional suspending of the athletes. Why didn't they disqualify the athletes? Because everybody knows in the anti-doping world that although you might not have doped intentionally, all the results from a competition where it took place, where the tests have been given, or that samples have been given and they are positive, then you have to disqualify the athletes. We don't have any information about disqualification of that event, at least if what we have seen in the archives. So there are so many things which are strange. And if there's a positive test, you call it an anti-doping rule violation. That doesn't mean that they are guilty. It just says there needs to be an ADRV. We don't know anything about an ADRV in this case. So
Can
there are
I
so
ask you
many
this,
questions to
with
answer.
the information that you have, we know that if you have an A sample that tests positive, you can then get the B sample tested. Do we know?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that. The only thing what I know is that there have been an A sample, and this A sample was not reported as an ADRV. And that's the beginning of a procedure in the results management.
And so the whistleblowers you've spoken to.
One moment. Yes, my colleague has supported my words and said what I wanted to say. There hasn't been any B sample mentioned in the whole document. So that's another question. There are so many questions which have to be answered by CHINADA and, from my point of view, by all the anti-doping organizations who are in the position, if they want, to appeal. The question is if you can appeal after 3 years. But in case new information gets public, then maybe people think about to consider to reopen this case. I don't know that. But this are the questions which have to be answered in the next couple of weeks. And again, we talk about a doping suspicion. We don't talk about doping cases. And we don't say that WADA covered up something. We just say that according to our information, according to what we have seen, they would have been in a position to do much more, and they didn't.
Are there people that you've spoken to? I know I've got to let you go, but are there people you've spoken to that you believe WADA can speak to in order to get more information on this?
I don't want to comment on that. It's too dangerous for people.
These are people inside China.
I don't comment on that.
Okay. Will we be able to?
I can tell you we have been investigating in China, and if you see our documentary, you will see there is some reporting from inside China.
And can we see that documentary? I'm sorry, I don't speak German, with English subtitles at some point?
Yes, the first thing you should do is to learn German. I hope that you get this lesson soon.
I've been told the first thing I should do is learn Chinese.
Yes, exactly. Same problem we have.
Yeah.
But we are currently working hard to make it happen that a subtitled English version is available soon.
All right, fantastic. And look forward to seeing it. Hajo Seppelt, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Take care. All the best.